Hello, and welcome to the Blizzard Watch podcast. I'm your host, Matt Rossi. I'm trying desperately not to sing the theme to the Love Boat for reasons I don't understand.
The podcast!
Seriously, it almost happened. It almost happened. With me, of course, are the dulcet tones of Joe Perez. That was him singing just then, and Liz Harper. Who have either of you ever seen the Love Boat, or are you too young for it?
I mean, I'm aware of its existence.
Okay, the Love Boat was a weird, and I'd like to say bad. Yeah, it was bad. It was a bad show. But it was, yeah, okay. There's nothing to do with anything. Let's talk about video games and stuff, because that's much better than talking about
games. Yeah.
All right. Up front, though, I actually think we should talk about this first, just because it was not here last week. And we've done a Tavern Watch since, so we did get to talk about it a little bit there, but I want to talk about it here. D&D movie trailer,
Yes.
Honor Among Thieves.
Yes.
What do you guys, we talked about what you think of it. What do you like when you watch that trailer? What is the one thing that says to you, oh, I want to see more about this. I want to know what this is about.
So my friend Tino brought this up as I was hanging out with him the other day, and we were, talking about magic and stuff. The D&D movie came up, and he's like, it's really good to see that the creators behind this are finally giving us what we want. Not heroes, but garbage fire children to root for. Because that's what every player table is. It's a bunch of garbage fire children doing really weird things. We are always terrible at the table. Now we have people we can identify with. And I'm like, that's actually kind of really on point. Because, do you really want to see a movie about, shining, lawful good paladins, or a band of thieves doing a heist? What feels more like the traditional actual play D&D? And I was like, yeah, you know what? That's good. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing something that's not all about pure heroism. So,
Liz?
I just want to see more of the monsters. Like you saw, there was a mimic, there was a gelatinous cube, there was an owl bear. I want to see more of these D&D monsters, but brought to life on the big screen.
What about you?
Yeah,
Matt?
I like the dragon scene. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, I want to see more of Chris Pine making that face. Because that face is the face every person who's played a character who's trying to get the group to actually do things has had in one time or another.
Yep.
Just that look of, oh, God. Just that, your hand comes up, but you don't quite do a face palm. You're not quite at face palm yet. You're just kind of massaging your temple a little bit and going, okay, think. What do I do here? What do I do? Oh, God. All right. I'm going to pull out the loot. It's I also liked that bit where she's like, so what do you bring to the table? That seems kind of fun. I'm looking forward to the character dynamics, and whether or not it's going to feel a bit like a D&D party, because D&D parties do get some really bizarre interactions. Just this Weir's game we were in just the other day, you got to see some pretty strange interactions between our four characters, for lack of a better word. And it is the kind of thing I'd like to see. I am interested in it. Although, that being said, I'm playing a paladin at the moment, so I kind of don't like your whole, we don't want to see noble. Yeah, we do. Let my paladin do things. I can kill people with a sword. That's it, and I'm doing it for the right reasons. What are those reasons? Because I think I should do it. But yeah, I was very interested in it, and I liked the trailer quite a bit, and I'm hoping, I like the fact that they understand that I know Joe knows who it is. I don't think Liz knows who he is, but do you know Jonathan Tweet?
No.
Okay, he was one of the main people behind a game called Ars Magica, and as a result of that, he was working for White Wolf for a while, but then he moved on. He got hired by Wizards of the Coast, and he was one of the principal designers on 3rd edition. And then he left.
If I remember correctly, he's from Rochester too, I think. I think he's out my way. I think he's originally from my way.
No idea where he's from.
Anyway.
But the point being is he tweeted when he saw the movie trailer that, back in 2000, he was the one who got them to change the name of the thief class. Because in original D&D and the 1st and 2nd editions of AD&D, they were called thieves. Mm-hmm. They weren't called rogues. They were called thieves. And he was like, no, a thief is stealing. And if we have thief be, the name of the class, and also people are stealing things, so they're thieves, it gets confusing. People will be like, "Oh, that guy's not a thief," but does he have thief levels? And so he got them to change the name of the class to rogue, which has lasted to this day. It's stuck around. It was a pretty good change.
It's become pretty ubiquitous across settings too.
Yeah, and one of the points he made was that he's like in his tweet, he was like, I like that people remember that a thief can be of any class. Your mage can be a thief. Does your mage steal things? Boom, they're a thief.
Hey, that mage hand's real good for taking stuff.
Yeah, and so it was just something I liked. That's the thing I liked about the name of the movie. It's called Honor Among Thieves because they are thieves. But you can be a fighter who's a thief.
Yeah, or a druid that's a thief. Like, you know. Yeah,
you could even be a paladin who's a thief as long as they're stealing for what they believe to be the right reasons. So yeah, I actually like that too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm a little sad that I have fond memories of really, really bad D&D movies past. Like every previous D&D movie that came out, they're all horrible. And Mazes and Monsters, which is technically a D&D movie, even though they don't want to admit it. So yeah, I am a little nostalgic for all the really bad D&D movies, but I'm hoping that this will be a good one. I'm hoping this will be the first game to movie adaptation to be actually really good. Except for Clue. I'll fight you on Clue. Clue is really good, but everything else has not been. Battleship in particular. Did you guys see the Battleship movie?
No, should I have? Like, was that a thing
I
should have seriously considered in my life?
Like I said earlier, it's always aliens.
No, the Battleship movie, not only is it always aliens, but the aliens are attacking by dropping like the pegs from Battleship on battleships. I'm watching this going, what? Why am I here? What did I do in my life that led me to be sitting here in a dark room watching Battleship? And I still have no answer for that. But yeah, no. So I have high hopes for Dean. But unless either of you have anything else you want to talk about on that one, we're going to move on.
No, I'm good.
I think mimics should be in every movie. You should just always have a mimic in your movie.
You know what?
Somewhere.
Mimics should be in everything. Literally everything. Every video game should have mimics. There should be mimics in WoW, and that's a hill I will die on.
Aren't there mimics in WoW?
No, not really. Spriggans are not mimics.
Because I'm running around. Oh, but that's Diablo. Never mind. My Diablo 3 character has a chest running around behind him all the time that like will open a toothy maw and stick its tongue out and try to kill things, and it's called a little mimic. So I assumed that mimics were a thing, but then I realized, oh wait, that's a Diablo thing.
Mimics and Dragonflight. Let's go.
Speaking of weird things we'd like to see in the game, Wrath Classic is coming on September 26th. And the Joyous Journeys buff that gives you 50% added XP if you're leveling your Wrath Classic characters, or any WoW Classic character that's going to be on a Wrath Classic server, which is all of the ones except the Classic Era servers. You get 50% XP. That buff's out now, and it will be lasting until September 26th.
Also, didn't they just announce that they're going to be doing the next Ramus and Scourge Invasion go live in the next couple days?
That was the phase went live last week. I don't remember when they're actually doing.
I'm looking it up real quick. Next Ramus and the Scourge Invasion will go live on the July 28th.
So in 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah. So that patch is already out, but you guys are going to get to actually start seeing the Scourge Invasion and Next Ramus and all of that by Thursday. So there's that too. I'm interested in people who, we never had a Joyous Journeys type buff in actual, when it was actually Wrath of the Lich King time. So I'm interested in seeing how this plays out for people who are trying to get a character leveled up in time for that. Are either of you interested in playing in Wrath Classic, or do you feel kind of like I can do that whenever I want? I'm not interested.
I mean, I am interested because I have, good memories of playing in that era, but I also wasn't in a guild that was doing raids. So it feels interesting to go back and re-experience that, but I cannot imagine a world in which I have the time to do this, even with this 50% experience buff. It is a significant effort to level a character through TBC and to earn gold in TBC and, to get your character geared up and set up and ready to go into the next expansion. It's just I think about it, and then I'm like, I feel really tired thinking about it.
Yeah,
that is a wildly fair statement, Liz.
I've gone on the record multiple times that I may have said this in a not so nice way before, but I feel like I've already done my time with the classic and all the way through. And while I miss some of the memories of it, I don't really need to relive it. I'm okay. I'm okay just moving forward. I'm happy where I'm at.
I mean, I have a lot of nostalgia for those days. I just can't. I can't see where it fits in my life today.
I'm not that person that can sit there and grind like I used to anymore, right? And I understand things are
Mm-hmm.
faster now because the flow of information kind of, and the fact that we have that sort of institutional knowledge, but it's, it for me, it was always about the people, not necessarily the content. I'm content with the level of access I have now, I guess, is really, and like I said, nothing wrong with it. I want people to enjoy it and have fun with it, but I'm okay.
It's bad, and they should feel bad. No, I'm kidding. I do actually have an interest in playing it, but I had an interest in playing it when it was BC Classic, and I didn't play that either. I think a lot of that is just because of the things Liz is pointing out. Not only do I have other stuff I'm trying to do now, but I have other games I'm trying to play. Like the idea of playing 2 World of Warcraft simultaneously. No. I would literally have to have like a clone box and make another me who just played WoW Classic, and another me that just played Diablo 3, and another me for Diablo. It's just, I'm sorry, guys. I don't have the enough people inside myself to do all that. But I do think it looks cool.
I don't know why. When you say that, I always think of the Tick cartoon and the guy that was basically a bunch of nesting dolls. And he would always scream, I'm made of tinier men. Every time you say that, like, I wish I had more people inside me. I'm like, yeah, I always think of that animated scene for some reason where he's just running around and yeah. Sorry, totally not related, but I just had to share. Sorry. And now Matt's looking at me, probably funny.
Well, no, I can't see you. I'm just staring down at my desk going, how did I get here? How did I get to him telling that story about having tinier men inside of him? All right. So yeah, that's, September 26th, if you're into Wrath Classic, that's when it will be live. Until then, you can level up characters and get ready to do. And I think they're going to have Death Knights before Wrath Classic actually comes out, but I don't know if they do yet or not.
Not yet. I mean, I think, but I believe you are going to be able to create your Death Knight early. See, they announced the release date, but I'm still not clear. Is this the release of the pre-patch when you can make your Death Knight? Or is this, I'm not totally clear on how that's going to happen. So
yeah, I don't think it's the pre-patch. I think it's the actual launch of the game, but
but they're letting you they're letting you make a Death Knight when the pre-patch, I'm calling it the pre-patch. I don't know if they're calling it the pre-patch. So it's kind of like they've moved the start of the game a little earlier. But I don't know. I'm very confused. There's knowledge I want that I do not have.
Speaking of that, as we are currently talking, the Dragonflight Alpha is now in its phase 3. Unfortunately, like I said before, I couldn't get it to download properly, so I'm currently standing here looking at a bar and hoping it will eventually move. But one of the things that's happening in phase 3 is they're testing the life pools. Is that what it's called? The red, like
the Ruby life pools.
Ruby life pools. Thank you. That's one of the new dungeons that's coming in the upcoming expansion. I don't know why I can't use words like Dragonflight. Why it just wouldn't come out of my mouth there. But in addition to that, they're doing 2 new zones. I think the Dragtheer starting zone is staying up. I was told.
Yeah, that's like what I've heard as well.
They were closing it, but now I've been told it's staying up.
Really fun, by the way.
It's alpha, so alpha's gonna confuse and be chaotic and messy.
Yes.
I'm just looking for somebody post. Here it is. Oh yeah, here we go. The Waking Shore is going to go live. That's another new zone. I believe it's a level 62 zone. There's the Ruby Life pools, and the Dragon Riding talent tree is apparently going to be visible. I have no idea what's on the Dragonflight Dragon Riding talent tree, but I guess
I don't think any of us do yet.
Well, they talked about it a little bit, didn't they? Where it's going to give you like different options and customizations.
Yeah, but I don't. None of us have seen it before the alpha went up today, and I still have not seen it, though I know it's now live. So,
but in addition to that, we're also going to get to see, as we already pointed out, the Protection and Retribution Paladin talent trees, which I'm sure the Holy Paladin on this board is really thrilled about not getting that one school. It's always the one school that it's the one talent specialization that you specialize in is the one that doesn't go live.
If you change your if you make a paladin and you change your spec to holy, there's and you go to your talents, it's just a bunch of question marks. So That I'm bringing you hard-hitting early information here. The Holy Paladin talent tree is a bunch of question marks right now.
I like because you don't know, but you don't know what you don't know. You don't know? But yeah. Also, in addition, I guess all 3 mage specializations are going to be tested as well. And they've talked a bit about the philosophy behind the mage tree. Mage trees is that they want to have. They don't want anyone to feel like if they don't if the thing they do isn't the most powerful thing, they can't cast anything else. So they don't want to have that original WoW feeling of frost mages or fire mages being useless in specific fights, which is I think a good idea. But we'll see how that comes out in terms of practice. I don't play a mage. I think my highest level mage is 13 because every single time I try to play a mage, I get maybe 5 levels in, and I'm like, I'm done. I am done with this. No, I can't do it. I can't.
Right?
I can't.
I really liked Mage and Legion. I haven't touched it since, though.
Yeah, I've never been able to level a mage. Also, though, the jewel crafting and leatherworking professions are getting a focus.
They're getting rolled out. Curious about that. Particularly jewel crafting, because jewel crafting has felt useless for a long while.
Hey, I can make rings and gems and more gems and also more gems.
This has always been a complaint that I've had about professions in general, is just that there gets a point where certain professions just aren't needed anymore, either from saturation or there's no personal benefit, so there's no reason to even level them. Jewel crafting happens to be one of them, especially when like a lot of the patterns and stuff are like gated by reputation. So somebody like, our hunter friend Ado will grind reputation to the point where he's leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else, get all the patterns, and just cut gems for everybody. So why, there's no incentive for me to really level or spend any time on it. And sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Carry on. I'll jump in.
And I was just gonna say, and then it also affects like things like Auction House, where back in Burning Crusade and even Wrath, when jewel crafting was around, like you can make money making higher level gems for people. Now it's just, you get to a certain point, it's like, okay, well, this gem cost me 10 gold and gold is falling from trees, so whatever.
I'm so glad that we didn't end up with a Canadian traffic light situation there where the two of you just saying, no, you, by all means. No, I insist. I'm so sorry. I couldn't possibly interrupt you. I'm very sorry. You go. That would be rude. It would just be so rude of me. You go. And I'd be sitting here going, please, somebody go. Somebody go. I've lived in Kansas.
The thing about professions now is that most of them do not provide a benefit, except for, the stuff you make or the stuff you gather. And that can become useless very quickly. The only profession right now that feels like it has a big reason to be that profession is alchemy, because you get these bonuses with alchemy, like your flasks just last twice as long. That is a huge advantage if you do raiding, if you do Mythic Plus. It's just now you use half as many flasks as everyone else. That's such a huge thing. And you just take a profession. And I'm an alchemist, and I don't really do anything else with alchemy. Sometimes if I don't have any weapon oils in my bag, I'll, make my own. If I missed the cauldron at the start of raid time, I can make my own flask, but it's 90% of the time I don't do anything. I just have it, so I have that buff, and I don't have to drink as many flasks. But the other professions don't have something like that. Don't have something that's universally useful and makes you feel like, oh, I really need this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We're all on the same page. So I think more than class changes, more than talent trees, more than even evokers and Drakthir, I've been really excited to have actual meaningful profession changes. And it seems like that's what they want to be doing. So I'm absolutely here for it.
I am very interested in how this turns out.
I can't be the only who just wants.
I mean, no, I want to do that too. Yeah, absolutely.
Dragons are great, but I have other needs besides dragons.
Yeah, like dungeon. You need dungeons. I think at this point we should talk a little bit about something that will allow Liz to be the one to talk for a while.
Oh, no.
The Hearthstone Battlegrounds changes that are up on the site right now and that I don't understand. So Liz, what are the Hearthstone Battlegrounds changes?
I mean, there's not really a ton.
Hold on. I got to get my glass. Yeah, okay, go.
There's really not. Well, it doesn't feel like a ton is going on. We're getting the new Murder at Castle Nathria is going live next week, and kind of they're rolling out some battleground changes a little in advance with the latest patch. There is a new hero, Heist Baron Toggwaggle, who actually has an ability that seems super overpowered. His hero power is the Perfect Crime. It costs 9 mana, which is staggering since I think everyone else has cost a maximum of 2. And casting this will steal all minions currently in the tavern. Each turn, your next hero power costs 1 less. So you will be able to go in and just grab a huge number of minions, but you have to wait a little while before you can do it, which is... hopefully that balances out. It sounds a little nuts. We will see how it turns out in play. Other than that, there's some balance changes for dragons. There's some like tiny buffs for the Lich King and Van Cleef and Sneed. But now it's kind of a standard sort of a little balance, a little new stuff. There is a quality of life feature in that you will be able to randomize the hero skins you use in Battlegrounds. Instead of like selecting one and that's the hero skin you use forever, there's like a random option now. So if you've been collecting all of the skins they've been rolling out, which is a ton, you will be able to enjoy all of them all the time. And that's really it. I'm sorry, I didn't have a 20-minute Hearthstone thing to go on.
I managed to get a drink. But thank you for covering that for us. Now we move on to the thing that I'm pretty interested in, but I don't know if anyone else is. The Diablo 3 PTR has actually been pushed back. They're going to continue it into mid-August. I mean, well, not mid-August, but the first week of August. August 8th is the current, end time for the PTR. And that means this delays both the end of this season and the start of the next season, because they won't end this season until they've got the PTR squared away and they know, okay, we're going to be launching the next season 2 weeks from this point. So that means that the end of the season is currently sometime in August. If the PTR goes well and the August 8th date, nothing new comes up and they don't feel the need to extend it any further, we'll probably get an announcement within a week of that, I would expect, which means that it's possible we're looking at like August 15th or so as the end date, but that's a big if. That's a lot of ifs. And then we'll, of course, get the end of the start of the next season about a week to 12 days, between 5 and 12 days after the end of the previous season, which means we could be looking at, the next season, season 27, going in late August or maybe in early September. That's currently up in the air based on how the PTR goes. Since we know that the season theme is going to be the strange angelic sanctified weapons and so forth, I'm curious as to what's holding up the PTR. Like, is testing not showing something? Is something not working? That's a curiosity to me. I don't know that we currently have any kind of feedback on whether or not anyone said anything about why this is the case. But I am curious. I would like to know. I don't know how it's going to go, because the last time we had a season anything like this, it was season 25 with the various demonic stones, the essences of the demon lords that you could put into your helmet and your weapon. But the Sanctified stuff's a little different. So we'll see how that plays out. I can't think of anything else really to say about it. It's not like we don't have any major reason to be like to muse about this. We just know they're doing it. I don't know if you have anything else you want to say, Liz. I don't think Joe plays Diablo 3 at the moment.
No, I've been on other ARPGs lately.
So,
no, we don't have. We just don't have enough data to really comment on this. It just means that the next season is pushed back at least a week or two. And we didn't have a start date for it anyway. So the date we didn't know is now a date we didn't know, but it's like 2 weeks later.
Yep. I should mention also the 2nd of August, which is next Tuesday.
I think so.
Yeah. Shadowlands Season 4. That's when that starts up. And that's when Murder at Castle Nathria, the next Hearthstone expansion, is going to be launching.
Yep. It's going to be a busy day.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy day. I guarantee that they'll wait to do something crazy until one of us is currently in the bathroom. But regardless, yeah, I think that pretty much covers news and calendar stuff. So we're going to move on and talk about some of these emails, which are harvested from previous weeks we didn't get to because that happens sometimes. And also because nobody was asking any questions. Quite frankly, it was a desert. So if you've got a question for the podcast, please, you don't need to ask Lore Watch everything.
I don't want to hear it.
No, you don't want to hear it. You're going to hear it. The next to the podcast was Joe and Matt arguing over questions. If you have a question, you can, of course, email it to podcast@blizzardwatch.com with a subject line podcast of Blizzard Watch so we know it's for this show. Please. I got like 6 emails and I was so excited, and they were all people asking me if I wanted to like let them guest post on the site or possibly get, on a new SEO for a new search engine tool or something. And there was one that was about toilets. That guy at least seemed like he was genuinely interested in the toilet question. So yeah, please do ask us a question. Or you can go to our Discord server, and we have the patron Q and podcast questions channel for patrons. We look there first because you guys pay the bills, and that's really cool because we like having jobs and things to do. So thank you. Or you can go to the Q and podcast questions channel, which is below, and we'll still look there for questions too. And we did have one, but it was about whether or not Alfred or Clark Kent were a better cook. And I didn't want to start that because I really felt like Joe and I would be here all day on this one.
Yeah, probably.
So I didn't take that one, but we do still have a bunch. This week, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to let you all work out which one of you reads one first.
You want to roll a die, Joe?
Let's roll a d20.
Okay.
Because I always have a d20 on my desk.
Obviously, I mean,
I got a 12.
Who doesn't have a d20 on their desk? I got a 14.
You're up.
It's
your choice or your choice.
I'm going. Martini asks, question for the Blizzard Watch podcast. We're getting 4 old dungeons put back into the pool at the start of Dragonflight. Going off of lore or thematic reasons, which do you think would be good to add? It feels like we talked about this recently. Am I imagining that? That we talked about the dragony dungeons?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, World of Warcraft has been around for a little while, a few days, and we've collected an awful lot of dungeons and an awful lot of dragon lore over that time. I'm not the lore person though. Y'all are the lore people.
I mean, I'm gonna go with my old classics like Upper Blackrock Spire and Lower Blackrock Spire. Like,
if it's got a dragon, bring it in.
Yeah, but like the only reason I can always bring those up is like I remember my first time going into those dungeons and being like, oh my god, I'm going to actually do the dragon thing. I'm going to finally do the dragon thing. And it having like that moment of like, yeah, I'm a real adventurer now. And then getting deep breathed on. It was, it happened. But like, I think anything that is dragon flavored fits here. And I think that they should. So, Matt, do you have an opinion?
Nosdormu is going to be in this expansion.
Yes, he is. Caverns of Time.
Well, that's not quite what I was going to say. I mean, it should be a Caverns of Time thing, but I want to do a Caverns of Time thing where you go back to every dungeon that had a dragon in it, but that is now currently replaced or gone, like the original Sunken Temple or the original Upper Blackrock Spire, and you go back to them and you have them as they were, not as the not the updated version that cuts out all the incredible. Like, I want you to be able to get really lost in Sunken Temple.
Which was very possible.
Really lost. Like, I have no idea where I am. Did I go upstairs? Did I go downstairs?
This is a circle. How could I possibly be lost?
Yeah.
And yet, you would always get lost.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, original Upper Blackrock Spire with like the whole. I want to hear once again priests forcing groups to do that fight for the Father Flame that nobody wanted to do, but we all ended up having to do it because the priest would drop the group if we didn't. Yeah, I want that back. One of my favorite times in original WoW was tanking on Wormsalak and having to trust my hunter to pull the old, and this was before misdirect, guys. You couldn't misdirect this. The hunter had to pull Wormsalak out of the room and then kite him around in the
Yes.
room that you originally fought the beast in.
Yep.
While the group killed the ads, or
That
at least
was-
one of the ads.
That was my trial to like a cutting edge raiding guild in vanilla. Like like I had to do that. Like they were like, "Do you know how to do this?" Yes, prove it, and then go. But I want that back.
So that kind of stuff, absolutely. But also, something I've been thinking about a lot is you could there's all these dragons that we fought that were not like raid bosses; they were world bosses.
Mm-hmm.
And why shouldn't they be like in a dungeon now?
Azrael goes before he decided to go hang out with his dead girlfriend.
Yeah, like or the Dragons of Nightmare, who man, I those fights were fun and crazy. And also though, I was thinking about like in terms of there's the Infinite Dragonflight dungeons are important, I think, because we're going to be seeing more of the Infinites in this expansion. So if Nozdormu is trying to pull a Captain Pike and get himself out of his dread fate, like let's see what's up with that. Like, is there a chance that Nozdormu and Morozond aren't the same person anymore? Like Morozond is the person that would have happened had things gone in one direction, and the Nozdormu we have now is a different guy now.
We're going to talk about that on Lore Watch Sunday, by the way.
Yeah, I figured. But so there's a lot of stuff like that, like the whole thing with the Infinites, that I think would be really interesting to get to see again, to have those dungeons be front and center, possibly even to have those dungeons, but not those dungeons. Like imagine if instead of you go into like, the Durnhold Keep as somebody trying to stop the Infinite Dragonflight, what if you get to go in and witness it from the Infinite Dragonflight's point, what they were trying to do and why they were trying to do it? Like that'd be really interesting. So it's the same dungeons, but it's a completely different story. Like maybe there's actually a thrall fight and you're trying to put him back in his cell. Like I don't know. I just think there's a lot of possibilities that would be really fun to play around with.
I like that idea. It'd be interesting, like you say.
Yeah, I agree. That's something that I hadn't really considered, but yeah.
So you'd still have the same original dungeons, but every dungeon that the Infinites have shown up in, you could go back to Stratholme again, but this time from the perspective of the Infinites trying to stop Arthas. And we'd finally get some idea of what the Infinites are actually trying to do. Because we've never really known what their goal is. We know that they're trying to change the past, but why? What do they think they're going to do? What are they trying to lock in? What was Morozond up to? Since he was trying to stop us from getting the Dragon Soul. But why was he trying to stop us? He didn't seem to be particularly interested in Deathwing. Like from his perspective, Deathwing had already failed.
But he was trying to stop the Dragon Soul, which is an interesting thing. Like, and I think we talked about this when Anne was still around. Like, with the concept of, is the Infinite Dragonflight actually the bad guys, or are they doing the job that the Bronze Dragonflight are failing at? And exploring that as a possible point of view, I think would be fascinating.
So yeah, that's my answer. Yeah, that's it from me. Now I think you have to answer one, Joe.
That's fair. So this is, well, it's going to wind up being mostly Liz talking. This is from this is from Braylon. I have no idea how to play Hearthstone Battlegrounds. It makes absolutely no sense to me. A tutorial or primer would be most welcome. Liz, give the 30,000 mile view of Battlegrounds, because I actually have not played Battlegrounds.
Okay. I think Battlegrounds is actually the most entertaining part of Hearthstone. It is also the one with the fewest fees and costs and traps that will encourage you to spend money in it, because there are only two things you can buy in Battlegrounds, and that's cosmetic skins, and there is a tavern pass which lets you view advanced stats and access some heroes early. But none of that, it's totally unnecessary. You can just go in and play. You're never going to have to buy a pack of cards. You're never going to have to do anything. Just go, play, have fun. So basically, Battlegrounds is an auto battler. You are not picking what your characters do. You are putting minions on the board, and based on how they're positioned and what their abilities are, they will automatically attack the opposing team when you're set up for a battle. Each Battlegrounds round it's an 8v8, and you kind of go back and forth. You have You have a round where you set up your board, where you have an opportunity to buy minions and place minions, and then you go into combat, and then you repeat. You buy minions with gold. Each minion costs 3 gold, and you start with 3 gold. And you can also spend gold to upgrade your tavern. Now, I'm going to say gold is not like something you need to earn or buy or anything like that. You start the game with 3 gold, and every turn you have 1 more gold to spend. So turn 1, you have 3 gold. Turn 2, you have 4 gold. So as you go through the game, you have more resources to buy more minions, and you can upgrade your tavern to buy more powerful minions. And you buy your minions, you put them on the board, you arrange them, and it'll put you up against someone. You see what happens. You repeat the process. And it's actually, I find it kind of a Zen sort of thing, because you can do it and not pay a ton of attention to it, because each turn lasts a certain amount of time, and the amount of time a turn lasts gets longer the later you get into the game. Like at first it's like 30 or 45 seconds, I think, that first round, because it's like, okay, you have enough gold to buy 1 minion. You weren't making a lot of strategic decisions here on what to buy. And then they get longer. So it's like you set up your board and you kind of sit back and you wait for your turn to be over and for the round to start up. And it is kind of the classic Blizzard game in that it's very easy to start, because all you need to go is, okay, I'm here, I'm going to click this minion, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to put it on my board. And that's all you really have to do is you buy minions, you put them on your board. There's not a lot of thinking you need to do to get started. But as you get into it a little more, you'll notice each of the heroes you can select to play. They have a different hero power, and that can really impact how you play the game. For example, there is Dancin' Daryl, who is a Murloc with a top hat who dances, obviously. I mean, I don't know why you would think anything different. And every time you sell a minion when you're playing Daryl, it buffs all of the minions in the tavern, the minions available for you to purchase. It gives them more health and attack. So when you're playing Daryl, you specifically want to kind of collect a bunch of minions and then sell them in mass, and then you buy these hugely buffed minions. There's like a really specific strategy you want to play with Daryl. And there are actually, those turn limits. It can get kind of hard with him because you're really buying and selling really fast. So if you're just getting started, here's what I would recommend. Go in and, read all of the text. Read. First, you're going to pick hero, read your hero power. Make sure you know what it is, because they all have different uses. Some of them are completely passive. Some of them you need to click on every turn. Some of them have a gold cost, so you can't use them every turn. So make sure you know what that is, because those can be pretty key to winning or losing. And then just kind of examine the minions on the board. Okay, this is what's in the tavern right now. This is what I can buy. This looks better than that. Buy a minion, put it on your board, see what happens. You play a few rounds and you'll start to get a feel for, okay, this works. This has some synergy. Like, there are different minion tribes. Like, you can buy minions that are pirates, or you can buy minions that are elementals. And you can play games where your strategy involves having minions of all different types and using different ways to buff multiple types of minions. You can have strategies that involve having elementals, which have different abilities that will buff themselves the more of them you play. But as you play, you'll kind of see these things. You'll see them in card text, and you'll see other people using these strategies, and you'll sort of start to get it. It's really a game that I say, go in and play. See what happens. Because that's the way to learn. And it's very easy to get started. You just go in, you play your minion, see what happens. That's kind of all I got.
All right. I got
now
nothing.
You must now read a question.
Oh my! You made me do all that talking, and now I have to read a question. Oh man! When do I have time to get a drink? Okay. Let's see.
Let's face it, you need one all the time just from with us.
So this one is from Zell the Elf Fighter. This looks like a really long question.
I know that guy.
No. Why are y'all making me do all the long wordy
I'll
things
read
today?
it. I'll read it.
It's multiple questions. Why don't you and Joe trade off?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. I was gonna say.
Oh no, you go. We can do this. We can do this for
fine.
like the rest of the podcast, like back and forth.
I'll read because Liz talked a whole lot. I'll give her a break. So the question is, do you think that the Shadow Priests should have been able to multi-class their fealty to the Old Gods in Dragonflight? Yes. I think that they should treat them like the Chaos Gods in 40k, in which they can devote themselves to one or many of them, and as thus become the champion of the dark forces of the Old Gods, bearing many of their marks. Maybe we have a priest that's all mouths and maybe has a bunch of eyes as well. Maybe one that's all tentacles that also has mouths on the tentacles. Who knows? But yeah, they should be able to multi-diversify their fealty. What do you think?
Don't you think that, don't the Old Gods like strike you as like petty, jealous types? I mean, is Yogg Saron going to be happy if you pledged your fealty to him, but then you also pledged your fealty to Cthulhu?
Words. The master wants murder.
You're gonna run into some problems here. That's just what I'm thinking.
Okay. Matt, do you have anything else to add besides the wanton murder?
Words.
Okay. The next one is, what food or beverage from World of Warcraft have you always wondered what it would taste like? What food or beverage from WoW are you super glad you've never tasted?
Whenever I kill something and it has a glass of milk on it, who is drinking this milk?
Just
they don't
remember,
have refrigeration. It's in a glass. He was carrying a glass of milk, and I killed him, and I took the milk, and then I threw it out because I'm playing a warrior, and we don't drink things because there's no mana bar to bring back. But you guys have sat down and looked through your bags and go, all I've got to drink is this weird old glass of yak milk, and then you drank it. You drank it to get your mana back. Why? Oh God! It might have chunks of stuff in it. It's old. Oh my God! It's old warm milk.
So this is something that I think this came up in a guild chat during raid night one time, where and Molly's in chat today. Hi Molly, I was waiting for this. Banana beef pudding. Here's the thing, that exists in real life, folks. That is already a real world food, and it is delicious. Tanzania has a dish that's green banana and beef, like almost like a curry, but it's very, very sweet and like a pudding. It's fantastic. And I know people are like, oh, it's banana and beef. You don't understand. It's good. It's real good. And if it was just literally banana and beef pudding, I'd eat it. It's fine. What about you, Liz?
I mean, see, Shadowlands has had such interesting cooking recipes in every sense of the word. There is the steak a la mode, which appears to be a meat pie with a scoop of ice cream on top. And I am both very curious as to what this would be like, and also it sounds like a terrible idea, and I would never want to taste it at all, ever. And of course, there's also the questionably palatable feast, which even as I sit to eat it over and over on raid night, I just really wonder, what am I doing to myself? What life choices have I made that have led me here to repeatedly eat a questionably palatable feast?
Fun fact, beef a la mode is a real dish as well.
Really?
Yeah.
With actual ice cream?
No,
is this a thing?
It is a thing, but it's usually used with like a heavy sweet cream in some form of sauce or glaze. So it's the same effect. Okay. It's the same effect. But it is something like that to me is a lot more palpable or palatable than people who put American cheese on apple pie, which I don't get. And I know that's a thing, but why isn't that a Shadowlands food? That should be a Shadowlands food. Let's be honest. Apple pie with cheese. But yeah,
you got some savory with your sweet there. That's the whole thing.
And then there's like people who just have chickens on them. You kill them, and they just have a chicken. They just have bird.
Or the undead mobs that drop food.
I mean, I got to talk about this one. I remember, like, when I was leveling my hunter, like, and I had to feed my pet to keep it happy. All of the things I was feeding it was stuff that people just had on them and dropped, like just like a chicken just he had a roasted bird of some sort on him. So I gave it to my animal, and I'm thinking the whole time, that's just an old piece of bird that the guy had on him. Where did he have it on him? Where was this kept? Am I feeding my poor, sweet, innocent wolf somebody's horrible crotch bird? Like, what am I doing here? No. World of Warcraft, people just carry food that they shouldn't be carrying. It's not right. This stuff is perishable. Go ahead. I'm done. I'm creeped out. But I'm done.
It's just all these creatures have recently been to Costco. They've gotten some of those rotisserie chickens for like $5.99. They've just gotten a bunch of them. I mean, that actually makes complete logical sense to me.
Things I didn't know you could get at Costco.
I look forward to when I can do that and go to a Costco and get that stuff. Anyway, Liz, I think it's your turn to read a question.
Okay. Where are we in this giant question from Zell? Okay.
Yep. You got it.
Or is this from the next? Yeah. Okay. I am kind of liking Strange New Worlds Star Trek series that Romulan.
That's not Zell.
That's not. No.
It's the guaranteed piece of loot stuff.
That's easy target. Zell stuff is all the rapid fire questions that are you can just ask a question.
There's like nothing between. Okay. Formatting. It's okay.
It is the Canadian that's why it's so confusing. He did this on purpose.
It's chaos. It's chaos. And
I'll read one.
And I, as a Virgo, insist on order in all things. No, I got it. I can actually ask this question. You are going to answer this question though, because I have not watched all of this. Still, I am kind of liking Strange New Worlds Trek series. That Romulan episode, dang, rock solid.
That's still not. That's still.
What?
That's not.
What am I?
Still.
I give up.
How do
Someone
you feel?
Else ask the questions.
Yeah, how do you feel about the guaranteed piece of loot from the weekly vault? How do you feel about the creation catalyst being able to make that loot into tier? Do you think that it takes too much of the reward out of actually killing raid bosses, or is the real reward the friends we made along the way?
I'm just going to have to take these emails and reformat them so I can read them.
Liz's editor brain's going haywire.
This is just a big paragraph of questions.
It is.
Zell, don't send us big paragraphs of questions. I can't read them.
To actually start answering the question, though, yes, I think it's a good thing. Personally, I like the vault, even though it doesn't give me what I want. I think it's a neat idea, and I think it's better than coins, potentially. If it doesn't give you the same piece of loot every week, eternally, forever. And the creation catalyst, I thought, was actually one of the best things that they've ever done. Tier loot, especially when it has set bonuses associated with it, becomes a major thing. And being able to take anything of the appropriate eye level and turn it into tier, even if it's gated at 1 per week, is amazing. It limits a lot of the feel bad of, I've killed this boss 15 times and haven't gotten this one thing I wanted, especially if it's a tier piece. It also allows you to customize your tier pieces because of legendary slots and other things that might pop up. I don't think Shadowlands gets enough credit for this personally, because this is probably the least bad I've ever felt about gear, minus the healing trinket that doesn't drop from the door boss, but that's a whole other story. But overall, I think it's great.
Do you guys remember Firelands?
Painfully.
Yes.
Do you remember doing the Major Domo fight? Oh, bloody heck. It was, we remember who he was. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I know who he is. The guy was like, Taronda, I have vision, she lacks.
Fandral Staghelm.
Thank you, Fandral. You remember when you did the Major Domo Staghelm fight, and every week he would drop shoulders, and every week they weren't your shoulders? and some classes didn't have shoulders for the spec you were playing at all anywhere else. If you didn't get the tier shoulders, you didn't get shoulders from the raid.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the creation catalyst is brilliant, because that won't happen.
Yeah.
You won't be constantly every week going in to try and compete against every person on the same token as you for the same shoulders, because none of you have any other shoulder options. There's no off-spec shoulders to even consider.
Yeah,
Never mind, that was the thing that used to drive me insane.
And that's
was just, this inability to just complete the set.
Because they're adding the stuff like with Zereth Mortis, like having the Cypher gear be eligible to be upgraded into tier was a brilliant thing as well. Like it expanded the options for somebody to not feel like they were falling so far behind. And so like when we get questions about what systems we hope make it through to the next expansions, I hope that the Creation Catalyst or a version of it stays around forever because it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. All right, Liz, now that we've given your brain a chance to reset, what do you think?
I mean, RNG is real. The RNG, sometimes it favors you and you get everything you want real fast. And sometimes you spend an entire expansion trying to get a shield and you never get a shield. You're wearing this stupid, crappy shield all expansion because one won't drop for you. Or, maybe one drops for someone else, but because of loot rules, they can't trade it to you. And loot can be very frustrating. And this is a game that is, at its essence, it's about collecting loot so we can kill bigger, badder things faster. And it feels real bad when you go in and you have that bad luck and you don't get the loot you're looking for. Sometimes you may not get any loot. It's frustrating. So the game needs some way to mitigate this. And I think that the Vault, I don't know if I like it better than I liked coins, but the Vault does a pretty good job. I have had problems with it giving me the same item over and over and over and over again, but also it's given me options that I wouldn't have had. I've gotten a lot of loot out of the Great Vault this expansion, and I really like that in the last patch they added, okay, if the Vault doesn't have anything for you, you get these coins, which you can go and spend on useful things. Like they added some more useful things you could spend your pity coins on, like sockets, which those are basically always useful to have a socket. That is like a real genuine gear upgrade, even if you didn't get any gear from the Vault this week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's a pretty good system. I think there are maybe ways we could improve upon it. Certainly, I just really like that you can buy sockets with it. That there are useful things you can buy that will improve your gear. I think that alone was just a big improvement to the system.
So what I'm hearing is you both want to sign my petition of leave the battle table behind and bring this forward.
Yeah, I'm with you. The battle table, that's a chore. Great Vault is it's easy to use. It's fast to get to and access. There's no weird puzzles or to solve. It's just there. You click it and you get a piece of loot. That's a pretty good deal, I think. But Blizzard,
I will be okay with them bringing that and the Creation Catalyst forward if they get Steve Bloom, the voice actor for Zoltan Kuhl, to play the guy who you go up to get it, and he insults you like he does in Diablo 4 and Diablo 3 when you go up to Kanai's cube. Actually, just bring Kanai's cube in. Seriously,
make it Kanai's cube. Yeah.
Yeah,
because who cares what flavor it is?
It's ridiculous. It's like, I don't have enough legendaries yet. I'm going to take all these yellows I made and I'm going to throw them in here and turn them into legendaries. Sure, why not?
Then you throw them all into the Kanai's cube and then you get banana beef pudding on the other side. It's fine.
Oh, you get taken to the land of banana beef pudding, which is a whole lot of really angry cows with banana halberds.
You guys are going to be fighting like anthropomorphic bananas at the next time we play. You know that, right?
I've already got bananas and pajamas ready to go. So they're coming to your town. Bananas and pajamas. They can't be stopped.
I don't understand how we got from point A to point B here, but I think we all like the Great Vault and the Creation Catalyst. Thank you for your question.
And also the friends we made along the way. We like those two.
The nicest bananas with halberds I've ever met. All right, do we want to do one more? Do we want to actually do this Strange New Worlds question?
Yeah, I think
Liz have tried to ask. Yeah,
Liz has tried multiple times. I think she's earned this.
I mean, I don't have an answer for this question. Okay, I am kind of liking the Strange New Worlds Trek series. I'm so surprised by this question. That Romulan episode, dang, rock solid, but the series has taken a race that in the vast Trek multiverse I've always seen as a good guy race, the Gorns, and made them kind of real monstrous until the Enterprise Mirror Universe episode, but that was an individual from the Mirror Universe. Even in non-canonical literature, the Gorns were treated as a bad first encounter and then fast friendship. My favorite race to play in Starfleet battles are Gorns. Their Federation ship designations are named after dinosaurs, with the hypothetical battleship code named Godzilla. No, here goes Planet Tokyo. What are your thoughts on taking the Gorn down such a dark path? I get the need for villains. Why them? That is from Easy Target aboard my Allosaurus class heavy cruiser. Hopefully, I pronounced Allosaurus right, because Matt is right there to tell me if I did.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Matt. And Liz wasn't a Gorn what Kirk was fighting on the planet?
That episode where Kirk fights the Gorn is, in fact, yes, that is an actual episode of the original series. That was a Gorn. But that was set up as the Enterprise encountering this alien race that they hadn't met before, and an alien being who's kind of like a Q grabs both Kirk and the captain of the Gorn ship and brings them down to the planet and makes them fight it with like just whatever weapons they could find on the planet. Yeah. So they didn't play that music. That's the Spock music.
I know.
Don't get it twisted.
I know.
I think honestly, looking at Strange New Worlds, I think quite frankly, I don't think the Gorn have really been thought of much outside of some relatively niche corners of the fandom. A few novels, some of the role-playing games, stuff like Strange New Worlds occasionally, I think. Not Strange New Worlds, sorry, the Star Trek Online. But I think in general, what they realized was that they had an opportunity to use a race from the original series, but one that does not appear a lot in the original series, and thus no one's going to really care if you deviate away from its original appearance. If they brought in Klingons like Discovery did, Discovery brought in Klingons and changed the makeup again and made them look really kind of weird. And people were like, what's going on? This isn't the way the Klingons should look at this time. They should all have like Fu Manchu beards. And, someone was like, guys, the Klingon depiction in the original series is extremely racist.
Yep.
You know that, right? It's exceptionally racist. We're trying to back away from that a little bit here. But with the Gorn...
I mean, of course, Discovery also did the thing where the one true savior of the Klingons was the one Klingon who was white. So that's kind of also awkward. I mean, it's bad in a whole new way.
Yeah, well, plus, I mean, that guy wasn't the true savior of the Klingons, which made it even worse because,
it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
But regardless.
I just watched that episode. Anyway.
Gorn, I think the Gorn were a good choice because they didn't have a lot of in-canon, in-universe appearances. They had stuff from what's called beta canon, which is like saying, this is canon until we realize we don't want it anymore, and then we can just do something else. Star Trek has always been like that. Unlike Disney, when Disney bought Star Wars, that's what they did with their canon. They put all the extended universe stuff in this Legends category where it doesn't count anymore. Star Trek has always done that. Star Trek has always said, if it's in a book or a comic book or a game or anything like that, it doesn't count as canon. It's only canon if you see it in a TV series or a movie. That's how they've always done it. So I feel like they were a good race for the people, the producers behind Strange New Worlds to work with, because they didn't have a lot of canon appearances. They have just the one. And that one could still be canon even after Strange New Worlds, because that was the first time that a Gorn and a Federation starship captain came face to face. Like, the ones we see in Strange New Worlds, you notice the first episode, we don't even see them. Like, the Gorn never show themselves. There's never any face-to-face confrontations in the first appearance of the Gorn. The second appearance isn't adult, rational Gorn. It's Gorn Babies. And Gorn Babies are horrifying. They're basically xenomorphs.
The hatchlings, yeah.
Yeah, but they're not sapient beings yet. Gorn don't achieve sapience until they get fully grown. Until then, they're just killing machines. They're intelligent, like an animal intelligence, but they're not rational.
Intelligent, not reasoned.
Yeah, they don't have the ability to stop and reason out what they're doing. And there's a certain amount of like horror in the idea that the Gorn may not even realize they're dealing with intelligent beings.
Yeah,
they might not even really think about it. A lot of what they do is part of their breeding cycle.
Yeah, and I think that's really an interesting choice as well, right? Like, a lot of the horror elements of it, a lot of the atrocities and quote unquote bad guys effect of it is in their hatching and mating cycles, right? Like, it's their maturation cycle. which I think is an interesting choice because that's something that it's not uncommon as far as an element or a story beat from other Trek series. We talked about this before. Like, I've been rewatching The Next Generation, which I'm almost done, by the way. And I forgot how many new or weird species encounters happen because the species is doing something to, like reproduce, and it's having bad effects. Like the
ship's holodeck suddenly starts trying to reproduce.
Or the
that
one
actually happened.
Yes.
Remember that one?
Yes.
The train ride one?
Yeah. Yes. Or the one where the Out of Time, where they're coming back from a conference and it's Jean-Luc Picard, Deanna Troi, and Geordi LaForge on a shuttle. And Data, excuse me. On the shuttle with the temporal anomalies that are going on, and it turns out it's because what the Romulans were doing caused this race that normally exists outside of our time and space to view their drive as a black hole, and
they laid
deposit their young,
basically,
and then as a result of that, messed up an entire sector. Like, it was crazy. But that's like that's a thing that occasionally happens where the life of the universe can be a horrifying thing.
Well, I mean, how many times did baby things attack the Enterprise, attempting to treat it like their mommy? I think at least twice.
Listen, I maintain that even tribbles are terrifying.
Oh yeah, that's actually something we could get into. That. Point being that it doesn't take away anything from the Gorn's original appearance.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different part of their life cycle. At that point in their life cycle, they're not super small, fast. They're larger and heavier and stronger. So instead of all that quick running around and slashing thing, they smash things with their giant, bulky bodies. It's just a change in how they approach things. And can the Gorn and the Federation come to terms after Kirk has killed one? Maybe. If nothing else, the Gorn respect physical ability. It's like someone once said the only Starfleet captain who could have ever gotten the Klingons to consider negotiating was Kirk, because he was the most Klingon Federation captain they had. Like what's his name? I can't remember the name. General Chang. When General Chang says to Kirk, admit it, you like this better. This is better. We're trying to kill each other the way it's supposed to be. That's, only Kirk could have gotten the Klingons to be willing to talk, because they believe that he's just as willing to murder them as they are to murder him. The honor code thing, they believe that he understands it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just interesting from Star Trek as a show. It's an interesting perspective that, people need to believe that you understand them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do get why you'd be a little freaked out seeing the Gorn running around, planting eggs in people. And I mean, have you guys seen the series to the end yet?
Not to the end.
Have you seen I think it's 1 or 2 episodes from the end. I think it's the next to last episode. Have you seen that one yet?
Uh-huh.
No.
Says, okay. Then we're not going to talk about it.
I saw the first Gorn episode, but I haven't seen anything beyond that.
The second Gorn episode is straight up aliens.
Yeah.
It's just
that doesn't ruin anything. That doesn't ruin anything, but it's a good warning going into it.
I mean, it's interesting to think of some of the creatures we encounter as so alien. Like, if you watch Next Generation, it's like the solution is almost always diplomacy. We're gonna talk it out. But sometimes you meet an alien species and they're real alien. They're beyond our ability to comprehend, and they may be frightening. And part of that could be we don't understand each other, and we don't know them. They don't know us. And like Matt was saying, the Gorn appearance in the original series, that could still be a canonical thing that canonically happens. It's just at this point in history, we don't know them, and we're encountering them in this weird, crazy way.
Yeah, I mean, we're just filling in gaps, right? Like that's a lot of what this is I think to close it out, and I think because we're running out of time here, Matt's point earlier about them kind of making sure that everything that is considered canon is not what's in books or comics, it's what's in TV shows and movies, means that we have a lot of space in between that needs to be filled in. Even if you think you know what happened, it isn't necessarily what happened, and it's always been that way. It's not retconning, it's not rewriting the history and the story or anything like that. It's literally them just taking bits and pieces that maybe somebody wrote a book about it, or maybe I think Mackenzie Calhoun even had an interaction with the Gorn at some point in New Frontiers. But those don't count because they weren't fully realized in what's been laid out as far as the TV shows go.
And it's not like the people who make the shows are ignorant of that, by the way.
They know
because
it,
all the stuff about Una, including her name, comes from the novels.
Yes.
They wrote novels about the character, and later on the writers of the show took that information and used it.
A lot of the Christopher Pike stuff is coming from a lot of the earlier novels.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not that they're ignorant of it, but they reserve the right to change it if they have a better idea for the show they're trying to make. And I think that's a good way to approach it.
Agreed.
If they had said that all this stuff is canon, that'd be one thing. But they, from the beginning, have always been none of this stuff is canon. We'll use it if we decide we want to, but if we don't, we don't. But yeah, I think that's basically, like I said, I get why it would be kind of, if they're one of your favorites and suddenly they're acting like, baby eaters, then it's a little confusing for you. But I do think it works within the fiction of Strange New Worlds. It sets up what's coming next.
And they could still be your favorites, right? Because it's your favorites happen to be the more advanced, more sapient versions of them where they've been fully actualized and fully realized. So,
but I do think Joe is right, and we do have to wrap it up at this point because I'm hungry.
I have one thing I want to add in right here at the end, because the Warcraft Devs account tweeted that the barbershop is permanently free in Dragonflight.
Yes.
I gotta go.
It was a great announcement. See, that we stayed around long enough to make sure that tweet happened. All right. Well, with that said, Blizzard Watch is made possible due to the generous contributions at patreon.com/BlizzardWatch. Your continued support means this podcast signing community is able to thrive and grow. Blizzard Watch supporters enjoy exclusive benefits like early access to the podcast, a better chance at having your question answered on our podcast or the queue, and an ads-free site experience. And as a reminder, folks, those of us at Blizzard Watch continue to stand with the employees of Activision Blizzard as well as the game industry at large in unionization efforts and demanding a change for a safer work environment, a better tomorrow, and more equal treatment and representation.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thanks to Liz for being here with us as well. Thanks to both of you, because you guys make this show a lot better than me sitting in a chair talking to myself for an hour and a half. I've done that. It's not fun. If you guys have a question for the show, please send it to podcast@blizzardwatch.com with the subject line podcast or Blizzard Watch. Guys, seriously, please. Please, I'm begging you. Make next week easy for me. Yeah, throw in questions. Throw so many questions at me. Bury me in your queries. Or you can go to our Discord server and you can hit up the Patron Q and Podcast Questions channel if you are a patron, and we look there first because you patrons keep the bills on, the lights paid and the bills on, or whatever. I don't know. One of those things. Or you can go to the Q and Podcast Questions channel for non-patrons, because we do still want to answer your questions too, guys. We like you. But this has been the Blizzard Watch podcast. It looks like the KOTOR remake has been canceled. The art director and chief narrative designer have been fired. And we have no idea if that game's even going to come out now. So there you go. I'm sad. We'll be here next week.
Thanks for leaving us on that note.
Yeah, I just found out, like literally just now. So yeah, there you go. But yeah, that's it. Not getting a KOTOR remake apparently, or if we are, it's not till 2025. So yeah, I'm bummed. See you next week, guys.